Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream show. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. We missed you guys last week, and I'm happy to be back and happy to be doing another show. Oh wait, it wasn't last week, was it?
Yeah.
It was the week before last. Was last week Mother's Day?
Yeah.
I don't know what day it is, man. But we're back. Live stream show every Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Hopefully you guys are excited for a good time. We're going to be talking fishing, hanging out, answering your questions, and talking about what's going on now, what's coming up, and more. Plus, we tell you a little bit about the weather, we tell you a little bit about what we're catching, and we give away free fishing trips. That's right, $1,500 in free trips every Sunday night. All you have to do is watch the show, the entire show live. You have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. Then you have to keep watching live, because if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. So watch the entire show live, comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, continue to watch the show live. If you're picked as one of the lucky winners, you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. That's how it works. That's how you enter to win. And that's how you claim your free trip. So hopefully everybody's ready for a good time, a great show. I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot to talk about tonight, a lot of announcements to make, and a lot of good fun to have. So let's get right into it. We always like starting the show off by showing you photos of what we've been catching. Then we talk a little bit about the weather. Then we'll get our Captain Mike update at some point, and then we'll get into announcements, and then finally your questions. If you have a question you want answered live during the show, you do have to text it to the phone number on the screen there, because comments roll by really fast. We're streaming to Instagram, to Twitch, to Kick, to multiple Facebook pages and YouTube, so we don't always see your comments. So you got to make sure you text us your questions to that phone number on the screen, 727-393-1947. First things first, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, you are missing out. Killer selection, great deals, incredible deals, and awesome people. That store is packed to the gills with different tackle, rods, reels, and more. Plus, they spool reels. They have so much going on over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. So stop by, say hello, and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also want to make sure we give a shout out to all our supporters who are watching tonight, all of those in our supporters club who help fuel the show and make what we do possible. Remember, the supporters club is only $4.99 to join. It gives you private access to our private supporters group. You get behind the scenes info, more communication and connectivity, and you get access to the private after show every week. Again, that's only $4.99 a month. Basically $1 for every live show that you get privately in that group. So pretty awesome deal and a great way to stay communicative and more connected with us here at Hubbard's Marina. Also, besides that, we want to make sure we're giving a shout out to all those who are sending stars. The stars are a way for those who are watching on Facebook to help fuel the show and help us do more as well. So always like to give a shout out to those folks. We had Larry White with a big 1,000 stars, Charles Carter with 500, Sam Lang with a big 830. What's up, Brian Eakins, Todd Stutzman, Keith White, John Herman. We had Jeff Reedy with a big 1,200 stars, Gary Camage, John Herman Sr. with a big 1,000 stars, thank you, buddy. Richard Blazak, Richard Bedwell with a big 1,000 stars, thank you, buddy. Gary Camage, Gare Bear with a big 500, Stephen Batchelor, Adam Franklin with a big 500 as well. So super appreciate all the stars and helping us continue to do what we do on our live shows. Also, we always like to remind you guys to make sure you like the video. So many people watch the live stream show, but the videos, the live streams don't get many likes. Every like, every thumbs up you give helps us to reach more people, spread the message out, and definitely appreciate any support in liking or thumb upping or whatever you need to do to the video. And then don't forget to like and subscribe to our channels and our pages. We're really trying to grow our YouTube, our TikTok, our Instagram. Our Facebook is doing pretty good, but we always like to grow all the different social media accounts. So don't forget to like, check in, follow, all that kind of stuff. It really helps us out. And then also, we want to make sure that we show you what we've been catching. So let's hop right in to the inshore photos and show you photos of what we've been catching lately inshore. Then we'll work our way near shore and offshore. All right, first things first, inshore, we'll show you what we've been catching. Some flounder have been around. We're seeing some of these flatties out there on the beaches, the edges of the flats, oyster bars, around some of the docks and bridges. Definitely the flounder bite is seemingly pretty steady around the area. Not crazy, but we're catching a few of them. The mangrove snapper are back in a big way. Clouds of mangrove snapper around virtually any structure. Even out in the beaches, we're seeing roving schools of these hungry predators. Pompano action is spotty, but catching some pompano for sure. And definitely seeing some around the beaches, the jetties, some of the sandy edges of the flats up in the bay as well. Redfish action been going pretty good. This is our buddy Brian Loack from Visit St. Pete Clearwater and his father showing off a beautiful redfish. And I just realized his father's sporting a Hubbard's Marina shirt. That's pretty awesome. Nice redfish inshore. As you can see, some of those dock lights starting to produce those redfish as it's cooler, and definitely a lot going on inshore. So those fish are looking for a little reprieve, hanging out on the edges of the lights. We're seeing some of the redfish up in the mangroves on high tides. Warmer, slower moving water. We're on a first quarter moon Tuesday, so weaker tides have those fish looking for a little reprieve. Sheep's head still around, but definitely starting to thin out now that the water temperature is really getting hot fast. It was 82 degrees yesterday morning at the Egmont buoy. I wonder what it is right now. So yesterday morning during our radio show was 81.9 degrees at the Egmont Key buoy. Water temperatures are going up fast, I said. So yesterday morning, 81.9 degrees. Right now, the Egmont Key buoy is showing 84.4 degrees. 85 degree water temperatures pretty much. That is ridiculous, and that is really fast. That is bringing these snook out to the beaches. Definitely seeing a lot of snook moving onto our beaches and around our passes right now. Scott and his buddies are putting a hurting on those snook. And the Ring Power guys, this is one of the photos Capt. Mike Anderson sent us from one of his charters. Definitely seeing some nice fish out there. Capt. Mike on his trips hunting around. Seeing some nice fish out in the bay. Some nice dock light fishing action. Quarter moon definitely stacks them up on those dock lights a little bit more. And tarpon are thick. This morning we were doing our live video. Unfortunately, the 39-hour got back a little late, so I wasn't able to do the normal live video and showing the pile of fish. So I was filming the 10-hour leaving around 7:15, and I was sitting on the bow of the dinner boat, and I asked Will to join me. Will was supposed to be there to help me talk about the 39-hour trip and how they did, because normally we interview Captain Will in front of the pile of fish and he tells us how the trip was. Well, since we moved away from that pile of fish and we missed that pile of fish, Will was just simply standing next to me trying to talk, and I totally lost Will's focus. I had to keep hitting him because he was totally distracted because there was tarpon rolling all over the pass and popping. The dinner boat cast such a big shadow. It had all this bait underneath it, and all the greenbacks and small thread fins were showering, and these tarpon were just coming up and crushing these baits. So literally couldn't get Will to focus or give a good report because he was so distracted by the tarpon. But as you can see here, some of the boaters are taking advantage of it in the early morning hours before boat traffic gets wild. Even some of the kids fishing from the jetty and the bridges are hooking and even landing some of these tarpon, which is pretty cool. A lot of trout still underneath the bridge. On the bridge lights, we're seeing quite a bit of trout this past week being caught. Always good to see those guys as well. So great time inshore right now. Let's work our way nearer shore and show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper nearer shore and offshore here. And as we pull those photos up, we'll show you what's going on out there. One thing we're excited about is we're on the eve of that red snapper season. That's right, red snapper season is just around the corner, and we're getting excited for the revenge. We'll be able to take those red snapper and throw them in the box once again. And a lot of times during red snapper season, we're seeing some of these bigger vermilion snapper, which is fun. Nice cobia from one of our friends up to the north. Some catch and release gag grouper action, been pretty prolific. Still seeing a few of these hogfish, not a ton, but the hogfish are ever present as well, which is always a good thing to see. And the mahi-mahi are back, which is a really, really exciting addition. We actually caught mahi-mahi on a 5-hour half day this past week. We're obviously catching them on our private fishing charters. This is a table shot from one of the Hub private fishing charters. The Flying Hub 2 has gotten into the chicken dolphin. We've seen them in 40 foot of water. We saw them in 70 foot of water. We saw them in 90 foot of water. And we saw them out there past 120 foot of water too. So virtually any offshore or near shore trip right now, you have a chance for some of those chicken dolphins. So keep an eye peeled and keep those pitch rods ready. Seeing some nice red grouper. Red grouper action is going well, and definitely plenty to go around on our 10-hour trips, our near shore charter trips, and our offshore trips. All catching some nice red grouper, plenty of heads and tails, and some fat lane snapper mixed in there. Nice half-day stringer, good fun on the 5-hour half-day with the kids. Great way to get the family out there on the water. Some catch and release gags, always a good time, always exciting. One of those beautiful mahi-mahi fresh out of the water. Definitely exciting to see the mahi-mahi coming up for sure. 12-hour night snapper, been doing real well out there. Want to talk a little bit about that 12-hour night snapper here in a little bit. This was the 9.5 pound mangrove from not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So 9.5 pound mangrove, you're thinking that's huge, whoa. This past Friday, just 2 days ago, that Friday night trip, guess what the winning mangrove snapper was? Do you think it beat 9.5 pounds? It did. It was 9.7. This guy caught a huge mutton snapper on this past Friday night's trip. He's like, oh yeah, won the jackpot, baby. And everybody thought he won the jackpot. It was a huge mutton, like almost a 10-pound mutton. It was a beautiful fish. So trip ends. They go up to the scales to weigh in, and there's a pretty big mangrove hanging around. And they weigh in the mutton snapper. It weighed in at 9.5 pounds. It was a 9.5 pound mutton. Beautiful fish, but that mangrove snapper went up on the scale and was just a little bit larger. So those mangrove snapper are really, really, really dense, and definitely pretty cool to see. But very, very exciting to see the 12-hour night snapper doing so well and catching a lot of fish. So 12-hour night snapper did well. The 39-hour trip did really well. They didn't get a lot of bycatch on the 39-hour trip that came in this morning. It was mostly just some triggerfish and a lot of mangrove snapper. There was some bycatch, but not much. Just a lot of mangrove snapper and some really, really nice red groupers. So 39-hour did well. It just wasn't a lot of bycatch involved, which is interesting. LaShonda, thanks for those 500 stars. Phil Battisto, appreciate you, man. Scott Flynn, Ralph Driscoll with a big 500 stars. Robert, appreciate you, man. D. Beers with the big 1,200 stars. Thank you, D. Robert again. Adam Franklin, appreciate y'all for the stars very much. All right, so we showed you the photos, and let's get right into the weather and show you. Oh, we have more photos. I thought we were out of photos. Oh, Josh is correcting me. All right, back to the photos so we can finish up. Also, big red grouper, as I mentioned. Some solid red grouper action, even near shore on our charter trips. Always fun to see. And definitely exciting. This was a 10-hour all-day red grouper. Capt Will ran a 10-hour all-day and got him a nice one. This was from our Salt Strong private fishing charter, big fat red grouper. Some catch and release red snapper, but not very much longer do we have to throw those guys back. Some triggerfish. Remember, triggerfish close June and July, so this is the last chance for triggerfish. They close for 2 months at the end of May, so keep that in mind. Triggerfish closing as red snapper opens. And just a note on that front, triggerfish are much better eating than red snapper, in my opinion. All right, one last photo we wanted to show you is this one. Check out these beautiful new engines that are going on the Flying Hub 2, that already are on the Flying Hub 2. The Flying Hub 2 ran a couple trips this weekend with a fresh pair of Yamaha 450 engines. Super excited to have another year of fresh motors going into red snapper season with brand new everything there on the Flying Hub 2. So super pumped to be outfitted with the best engine on the market. Those Yamaha 450s really do a great job, and we're excited for a long red snapper season ahead, crushing the fish with those beautiful new white Yamaha 450s. Nick Nieves, appreciate those 1,000 stars, buddy. Tim McCardle, what's up, buddy? Appreciate those stars as well. All right, so showed you the photos. Let's get into the weather and talk a little bit about what the weather's going on. What weather is going on? What weather is weathering? We're going to go to hubbardsmarina.com. We're going to click fishing trips. Then we're going to hit weather links. We're going to start in the 5 and 10 hour forecast for Wind Finder. And it's pretty interesting. Yesterday during the radio show, it got pretty light green and even pretty heavy green Tuesday, Wednesday, and especially Thursday, Friday. This forecast is actually going down. So it looks much nicer tonight compared to yesterday morning as far as the coming work week. It went from calling 15 to 20 mile an hour winds for 3 or 4 days to only calling about 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. So forecast is getting better and better this week. Tuesday's looking pretty good. It is a little breezy, but not bad, and that's honestly going to keep things a little cooler for us, which is nice. And then Wednesday looking pretty good. Thursday might have a little bit of scattered showers, but that's pretty typical for the summer. And then Friday, the wind might pick up Friday night a little bit, which might harm our 12-hour night snapper, but we'll have to keep an eye because, like I said, the forecast has been changing a lot. Weekend's actually looking pretty good ahead, too. So pretty interesting to keep an eye on. This forecast is definitely getting better and better every time I look at it, which is good news. Looking forward to a beautiful long period of nice weather. And that's typical of the summertime. Definitely gets a lot nicer. We generally have long periods of more moderate winds and not so bumpy conditions. So very excited about that summertime pattern. Now, along with that, also, it gets really hot and really humid. So while we wish the wind would stop all spring, now as we get into summer, we're going to be like, hey, maybe it could blow a little bit. Maybe it could cool us down a little bit. Because a lot of times you get into summer and it's just flat calm. And that's nice, but it is excruciatingly hot. So make sure you're getting hydrated before you go out on those trips, and stay hydrated, because you definitely want to make sure you enjoy your trip and stay safe out there on the water. One thing we wanted to launch for you guys and show you and showcase is also we have some exciting news. So if you pop on over to hubbardsmarina.com again, and at the top of hubbardsmarina.com, there is a shop button. And if you hit that shop button, it's going to take you to our brand new, launched today, website store, online store. We have a new redesigned online store, and it is much more user-friendly, much more graphical and easy to peruse. So you can very quickly see what jigs and what flavors we have, what assist hooks we have. You can switch between categories and see sunglasses, all the different apparel, and all the different cool designs. I really like this shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. Quit fishing with the rest and fish with the best. Very cool shirt. We have a lot of different new t-shirt designs, some new colors out, and it's all listed right here on our Hubbard's Marina online store. So definitely check it out and definitely get yourself one of these brand new awesome hats, shirts. We got it all here inside the online store. Can you take that one down for me? Got it. So check out the new online store. We just launched it today. As I said, it's right on hubbardsmarina.com. You'll see the shop button, and it makes it really, really easy to look and see what we got. And you can stop by and pick it up in the shop, or you can order it right to your house. Make it easy. It's all plugged in with Shopify, which if you shop online, you're very familiar with Shopify. Almost every website uses it. So it's much more user-friendly and much more easy to navigate and stuff like that. So we're super excited to roll out that new online store. So definitely check it out. Even if you don't plan to buy something, we could use your help. The more people that go on it and search around and click things, if you find any problems, let us know, and we can address them for you and for us. So really appreciate if you check out that online store and try to help us find any mistakes. Now, one thing we wanted to mention too, an announcement tonight, is we won the Bestie Award. So Visit St. Pete Clearwater had that voting open for Best Boating Adventure. And for the, I don't know how many years in a row now, but we won again. And we appreciate all of your help voting. That was the voting that we did back in April, early April and end of March, prior to the Best of the USA voting. So we took home the Bestie Award for Best Boating Adventure and Visit in St. Pete Clearwater, basically Pinellas County. So we were super appreciative of that. We wanted to thank you guys so much for all your help in supporting us in that award. Now, the voting is open for Best in the USA. So make sure you vote daily on all your devices with your entire family. The best of the best USA Today, best charter boat in the country, because we've been nominated for the 4th year in a row, and we've won the last 3 years, and we want to win again. Josh, what are you doing? So help us to win the best charter boat in the country for the best for the 4th year in a row. Sorry, I'm very distracted by Josh right now. All right. So we talked about that, the new online store. Red snapper season is just a week and a half away at this point. Remember, red snapper season for us at Hubbard's Marina starts June 1st, and it runs through end of day August 15th. June trips are really booked. July trips are medium booked. August trips are super light, very light, lots of room in August. September gets busy again because we potentially might have Amberjack open, maybe. And we're going to have Gags open for the first 6 to 10 days of September. So June is really busy. July is a little busy. August is not busy at all. And then September it gets busy again. So if you want to get on some of those red snapper trips, I would book early and often. And like I said, if you want a little lighter load, July and August are going to be your best bets, especially in August. There's some trips with like 15, 20, 25 people on it. Even in July, there's still some 25, 30 people trips. So some lighter loads in there. What's going on, Capt Mike? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
Good, man. Super pumped. May 27th is around the corner, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Looking forward to another OCC Roadhouse fishing conversation. Can't wait.
Yeah,
it's always a good time.
It's going to be a blast.
First one was great.
Great food, great location, so much to see. And this time we're going to have the speakers set up so everybody can hear really well, some more chairs. So everybody's going to have plenty of room. So hopefully you can come out and join us Tuesday night, May 27th. Myself and Capt Mike Anderson will both be there in person talking about fishing, answering your questions, giving away a free Ingle cooler, some Bull Bay rods, some Hubbard's Marina and Real Animals swag as well. So, gonna be fun.
Yeah, I heard Mahoney and Big Ben Marshall might both be there.
Whoa.
That's the word on the street. So we could have a full house of radio crazies to talk to. So it could be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I just like the location. I like the people we had a lot of great people show up last time that were just fun to be around. It was just a good evening. So looking forward to build some momentum on that and get these things rocking and rolling. We'll have goodies to give away. So it'll be a good one.
Awesome, man.
Can't wait. How about the new moon, buddy? We're coming up on the new. This should be a really, really, really spectacular week here, I think.
Now, the new moon, so Tuesday coming up is the quarter moon. So most of this week's still going to be quarter moon. Are you excited for that far ahead of the new moon, or are you excited as we get into the weekend, kind of that front side of the new moon? Or is that whole time good?
Traditionally, it might be a little early, depending on what month you're in.
Excited.
In May, I think it's one of those months where the bite is so good and things are so right that things will pick up as we get closer. I mean, you're right. Maybe Monday and Tuesday are still a little slow. Mm-hmm. I think by the time we hit Wednesday and Thursday, things are going to crank up quite nicely.
All right.
So I really do, and I think next weekend's going to be spectacular.
It should be,
so,
man.
Yeah, it should be really good. But I think it'll pick up this week, too. You watch. The bite got better and better. I had some really interesting conversations today with some guys who fished late yesterday, and they absolutely wrecked them. Absolutely wrecked them. Cobia bite up the bay was really good. Big snook up the bay chewed really well. We got a big push of fish that came up the bay, so a lot of fishing in upper Tampa Bay really, really picked up. There's bait everywhere in the upper bay. There's still bait everywhere down the south end of the bay too, and the fishing's still good down there. So I'm really, really optimistic that this week I've got a really good client of mine, a guy from Pittsburgh, David Dahl, and his dad, who fish with me several times a year, and I'll be with them on Wednesday.
Nice.
I think it's going to be pretty good. And I might go near shore depending on what the wind does, because that cobia just keep getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So we may go cobia fishing on some of the artificials. Also the permit.
I was just about
to say. The permit showed up a little, they showed up a little late to the south.
Mm-hmm.
We got on them last week really good down at South Seas.
Nice.
Ozzie Fisher and I filming. Yeah, we wrecked them pretty good. Some 20, 25 pounders, some really big, healthy awesome. Permit. I had a couple that I couldn't slow down. So he said they just showed up, which is really late, which is pretty late for them. I've got on them really good in April down there with him before. So he said that they had just shown up a couple days before then. So I'm thinking that's why ours has been a little off. I think they just made a late push, and I think this moon should fire up sometime midweek here. I'm thinking the permit should show up, and I'm hoping it's Wednesday. And I'll be crabbed up hopefully to see if I can find them here on Wednesday.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Kobe will like them crabs too.
Oh, for sure, no doubt.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
No doubt. But they were absolutely punished. They were punishing them last Tuesday. It was crazy. I mean, every crab we put out got rocked.
So you're inside 9 miles, so you only have a few of those reefs to choose from. So I guess you don't really want to share specifically. You're not fishing little rock piles. You're fishing those artificials, right?
Yes, fishing the artificials. And it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've caught them on St. Pete Beach Reef. I've caught them on some of the publics. What happens at most of the public reefs is most guys don't go out there with crab.
They don't know how to target them.
They go out there with pilchards, or they go out there with pinfish, and you can get lucky and catch one on a shrimp, but not normally the way people are using them to snapper fish.
Yeah.
When you're snapper fishing, you're kind of pushing that thing, probably a knocker rig, taking it right down to the bottom, or maybe a jig head, something heavy. You're getting that shrimp way to the bottom. You're missing that circular, this fish. And that's the other thing, permit, where they just circle a piece. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people get there and they're looking for them, and they sit out there for a little while and they don't get bit. You need to stay patient, which is not my specialty. But when I'm permit fishing, I tend to be patient, because just because you get there and don't get bit in the first 15 or 20 minutes, a lot of times they're just making their way around that thing. They swim in circles around those artificials, and you just got to be patient.
Yeah.
So, but any of the artificial reefs could hold them. And obviously some hold them a little better than others, or I should say I've had more luck on some than others. But, you know, I've gone to some of my favorite spots and shown up and there'd be divers there. And then you're like, oh, well, that sucks. And then you just start hopping around. And then next thing you know, you find a whole pile of them on a piece that you don't normally fish.
And some of those wrecks are so spread out. Like South County, I mean, it's very big. You could have divers on one side of that wreck and still be fishing the other. It's pretty crazy.
Although I will tell you, the one fish that doesn't cooperate well, even if you're on the opposite end of South County, is permit. Permit get real weary. It's funny that you said South County because that's where I was. Last time I went to South County, they had been there thick as thieves the day before and got out there and there was divers all over it. I'm like, well, we'll try it over here in this corner, but I don't think it's going to work so well. And of course it did not.
They got in the water.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's especially if it depending on what your water clarity is.
Yeah.
But you know the divers too. The divers, you know, there's such a knowledgeable, high quality amount of divers in our area that a lot of times they're not pushing. Like they won't stop at the South County if it's dirty. You know what I mean? They want to dive that stuff when it's clean. I mean that's the whole point. So you know, which is again doesn't wreck all the fishing on a big piece like South County, but it'll screw up some permit for sure. I mean, permit are weary anyway. You got to go light leaders, you know, so permit are pretty snarky sometimes anyhow, but you get a bunch of divers in the water. That's not normally a recipe that I'm like, ooh, great, there's divers here. Let's fish.
That means we're going to catch permit, boys.
Yeah, exactly. But, and again, you know, you could show up there a day later and the permit are just not there.
Yeah.
So it just depends. They got tails, but
they're like pompano. They move around a lot.
They do. And but boy, when you get in them, it's pretty spectacular. I'll be at South Seas again the first week of June. I think June 6th, that Friday.
Nice.
I got a film down there again, and if I had to bet, I would say that we will probably visit some permit numbers again while we're down there if we get the right weather. So it sure is a fun fish to catch. Yeah, it's a great fish to catch. So
awesome.
But I'm looking forward to the week, buddy. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty good.
Pretty good. And then also the mangrove snapper, man. The clouds of mangrove snapper have returned to the dock. This poor kid today, I was laughing because he said, I can't get to these snook. I see the snook, but the mangrove snapper just attacked my shrimp. So I just I walked out there just to see what he was talking about, just kind of hanging back watching. And sure enough, there's two real big snooks sitting in the slip of the Friendly Fisherman right there off our main dock. The boat's pulled away. There's no one out in the dock except for this kid. And he's free lining this nice big jumbo shrimp and casts it perfectly right in front of those snook sitting on the bottom. And as soon as that shrimp slaps the water, dude, this cloud of mangrove snapper just erupts and attacks that shrimp like piranhas. So it has no chance of getting to the bottom to those snook. It's pretty funny, but it's cool to see the mangrove snapper coming back like that.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I got a couple of reports today that guys said the mangrove snapper fishing yesterday was ridiculous in the bay.
Nice.
Already. It's way early.
I was just talking about it prior to your phone call. Yesterday during the radio show, Captain Steve Pappin and I were talking, and at Egmont Key, the buoy was showing 81, I think 81.5 or something like that. I just checked the Egmont Key buoy just now just to see what the difference would be, and it's 84.4 degrees. So it has gone up. I mean, granted, I checked Saturday morning and then Sunday night, so it has been all day, but still, it was 81, now it's 84.
That's 3 degrees. That's 3 degrees. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's way, 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 way too warm. Way too warm for May. Way too warm for May.
It is the grand scheme of things, though. It's a little cooler than it was last year this time, which is positive, I guess you could say. Definitely.
Let's hope. It doesn't feel like it, but I'm in the moment, and in the moment it's hot. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll. I think what we need, what we're missing from the whole, and maybe that's why it seems so hot, is we're just not getting the rain yet.
Yeah.
You know, once you start to get those evening showers to help bring that water temp down, level it off a little bit, that sure helps. So,
Amen.
it also dirties things up a little bit, which can also help, especially if you're snapper fishing and things like that, where you need just a little bit of dirty water to give you a little bit of an advantage,
Yeah, I enjoy this time of year, though, right on the backside of those cold fronts before it gets super hot, before the rains kick in, where that water is so clean, clear, and beautiful. But you're right. It is nice when that water temperature goes back down a little bit and those summertime showers kick back in. So I don't think we're very far from that. We're enjoying the clear water while we have it, though.
No doubt. Agreed. Agreed, my brother. All good. Well, have a good week out there. Catch them up. I'm going to try to do the same, and we'll be together soon.
All right, my friend. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. You too. Thanks for the time, guys.
See you, buddy.
See you.
May 27th, 7 p.m., we got OCC Roadhouse. Hopefully we'll see you there. Remember, the only way you win stuff during our live stream show is if I am talking about it, we announce it, and your name is on the screen. If anybody ever puts anything in the comments, it's not from us. We will never say you won in the comments. However, anybody out there in the entire world can go to Hubbard's Marina's Facebook page and take our logo and make a fake Facebook profile and even use our logo and our name. So don't click any links that say you won during our live show, because we will never send you a link and never ask you to click a link other than links to our own website or to vote for us. Always click the voting links, the USA Today links and the Hubbard's Marina links. Those are the only links we're going to send you. And what's really comical is those spam things will use our name, use our logo, tell people to click a link, and then say, hey, you won something for free, give us your credit card. And people do it. If you won something for free, why would you need a credit card? So please be aware that we cannot control what people do out there to try to be scammers or fraudulent. So all we can do is warn you guys. And that's why we do our giveaways live on the screen. Let's show you an example of how we do our giveaways. The only way we do our giveaways. All right, we're going to go ahead and give away a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Let's see who the first lucky winner of the night is. Pat Ferry. Congratulations. You have won. We're not going to send you a link to click on. We're not going to ask for your credit card. We're just going to show your name on the screen and tell you you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address. That's how our giveaways work. That's how it's always worked. It's never changed in 4 years, 5 years. How long have we been doing this? 2016 we started this show. It's been 9 years we've been doing this live show, bro. Yeah. That's a long time. That's a long time, folks. I shouldn't have thought about that. All right, so we did our first giveaway. We talked to Capt Mike. We talked about the weather, the fishing, did our announcements. I think it's time to get into your questions. Let's go ahead and see what questions you have, Nick, for us. Nick Nieves, appreciate those 700 stars, buddy. Jason Richmond, Phil Batisto, Terry Nakahoma, Mick Higgins as well, John Bull. Appreciate all those stars, y'all. All right. Are our questions working? Oh, Josh is still pulling them up. So as he pulls up those questions, remember, we've got lots of good stuff coming for you guys with the red snapper season. We've got lots of beautiful weather ahead. It's going to be hot, though, so make sure you're staying hydrated, getting hydrated before the trips, and being ready to crush these fish for sure. So how do you enter to win free trips? You have to watch the whole show. You got to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. And then once you're commented once, you're entered to win. You got to watch the entire show live. And then if you're announced as a lucky winner, you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address. So you enter by commenting on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Bonus points if you like and share the video. Even more bonus points if you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a thumbs up as well. All right, can you talk about drift techniques and rigs, please? So we don't do a lot of drifting, but when we do drift, generally your best plan is going to be trying to counteract the drift a little bit and fish a spot for as long of a time as possible. So what I like to do is, if I'm on the side of the boat in which my line is going out away from the boat, I'll try to drop my lead as close to the side of the boat as possible, get down to bottom as quick as possible, and then I'll lift my rod tip real high in the sky and put it in gear. And then as the boat drifts away from my lead, I slowly lower my rod tip. And then once my rod tip's about to touch the water and my line's about to get too tight and lift that lead off the bottom, I'll put it back in free spool and lift my rod tip up. And that way I can still keep tension on the line, still feel the bait and the bite, but I'm not disturbing the lead on the bottom, and I'm fishing that specific spot for a little bit of time. And then after I do that, maybe 2, 3, 4 times, then I'll lift my rod tip up to the sky with the reel engaged. I'll lift it up to the sky with the reel engaged and then hold it for a second and then drop it back down slowly. And that way I'm basically walking that lead closer to me. And then I'll repeat the same process maybe 2 or 3 times, and then after that my line's probably a little far away from me, and once it gets at too much of an angle away from me, I'll just reel it up and reset and drop again close to the side of the boat. If I'm on the other side where my line's going underneath the boat, then I'm going to cast as far as I can away from the boat, get down to bottom as quickly as I can, and then the opposite. I'm reeling down as that bait's coming closer to me. So I start with my rod tip really, really low, and then as I get closer to that lead, as the boat drifts towards it, I lift my rod tip up, and then I reel down the slack, and then I lift my rod tip up slowly, and then once it starts getting to the underside of the boat, I reel up and retrieve. As far as the rigs, it's the same rig. The fish finder rig is definitely the best option. What size hook would you use when dropping a live pinfish this time of year? Depends on the trip you're on, how deep you're fishing, and how big your pinfish is. Remember, you want to match the size of your hook to the size of your pinfish. And if I was fishing inshore for a snook, I might be using a 2/0 hook. If I was fishing on a 10-hour trip for a red grouper, I might be using a 5/0 hook. If I was fishing on a 39-hour trip for a big fat red grouper, I would be using maybe a 7/0 hook. If I had a really big pinfish and I was on a 39 or 44-hour trip, I might be using a 10/0 hook. So bigger hook, bigger bait, bigger hook. And then also, deeper the water, bigger the fish, you're going to need a little bit bigger of a hook. But generally around 60 to 100 foot, that near shore grouper fishing with a pinfish, 5/6/0 is pretty good. And then offshore fishing, deeper water, 7 to 10/0, depending on the size of the bait. What's the latest news on red and gag grouper season? So remember, the seasons are, we've been talking about it all year. Red snapper is June 1st. I've been telling you all year red snapper will be June 1st till around mid-September. And guess what it is? June 1st through September 15th. Pretty much hit that one on the head. And I was pretty pleasantly surprised about that. So red snapper is June 1st through end of day September 15th. And then gag grouper opens September 1st for about 6 to 10 days. Amberjack is supposed to be open September and October, but it seems like there's a potential that it could be totally closed this year because of the overage. They claim that we overfished by 250% last year. So we'll find out more at the June council meeting about amberjack, and we should see a finalized gag grouper season around June as well. The red snapper season was just finalized. They're working on trying to get some final information out about red grouper here soon. Remember, the last council meeting in April, they passed an emergency rule that doubled the red grouper quota this year. So if that rule gets put in place in time, the red grouper should potentially be open all year this year. But what I'm hearing is there is a chance that red grouper could close sometime mid to late June, and then when they finally decide to do their jobs and get the rule put in place, then it would reopen. So that would be extremely frustrating, because the whole reason they passed that emergency rule to double the red grouper quota now is to try to appease recreational fishermen, because it's really confusing if they closed red grouper season because the quota was full, because we're fishing this really small quota because the fishery is unhealthy, to only then 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 6 weeks later say, you know what, never mind, the red grouper fishery is really healthy now, so go ahead and keep fishing them. It just totally undermines any credibility in our fisheries management and fisheries science. So the whole discussion was to prevent that closure, so that way we preserve whatever little credibility the system and process has. But they're doing a really good job at trying to take any credibility away that they can. And if red grouper closes, I'm going to be livid. And I've been asking pretty much every week to pretty much everybody I know and have not gotten any straight answers, which reminds me to make a note to email them again tomorrow, because tomorrow's Monday, and Mondays seem to be the only time I can reach these people. Red grouper. Good reminder, guys. Thank you very much. So that is your update on red snapper, red grouper, gags, and amberjack. The only fish that has seasons besides those is triggerfish. And they're open all year except for January, February, June, and July. Ate up with arthritis. Can I use an electric reel for red snapper? I don't recommend it. Especially during red snapper season, because so many people go fishing. It's comical, man. People wait all year to fish for these red snapper, and they're not that good eating, and they're really dumb, and they're stupid easy to catch, and I hate them, and they're just so overrated. Mangroves are harder to catch, more challenging, better eating, hold better. They are just all around better. Yellowtails taste better, are way far superior table fare. They hold up better. Triggerfish, much better eating. Lionfish, scamp, mahi-mahi. I mean, there's an endless number of fish. Lane snapper that are much better eating, much better table fare, and are a little bit more fun to catch, right? But red snapper are big. They're a trophy. A lot of people like targeting red snapper. So what happens is red snapper opens June 1st and is open through end of day September 15th. We are going to be sold out, packed. People are going to be showing up from everywhere and fishing 5-6 times in June. And then in July, it's going to slow down. People are going to be like, red snapper. It'll be 70% full. And then by August, people are like, who cares? I've caught 17 red snapper. They're the dumbest fish in the Gulf of Mexico. We're not going fishing for them anymore. And then by September, it's like, oh, gags are open. Let's go catch a few of those red snapper too. So it's, if you're going to use an electric reel for red snapper, I don't recommend it, just because it's harder to control that electric reel. It's really hot in the summertime. If you're 88 years old and you want to go on a 39-hour, don't go during red snapper season. For the love of all things holy, go at a time of year like early May, when we're half full. It's not excruciatingly hot. There's plenty of room around the boat. You can do something like an electric reel and find out if you like it. So many people wait until June or July to do their first ever 39-hour trip. And then they go out there and they get pissed because there's a lot of people on the boat. They can't get a lot of support. The crew's busy. And we're fishing deeper water too. And it can be really challenging. So your first trip always has a really big learning curve. So why would you subject yourself to the biggest learning curve, the most challenge, during the busiest, hottest, craziest time of year, where generally we have more dicks? I'm just gonna say it like that. I mean, all year round, like February, March, April, May, you might have one person that's a little bit hard to deal with, but everybody's like, we're having a good time. During red snapper season, there's at least 2 or 3 people on every trip that it's like, dude, we're here to have a good time. Why are you being so uppity? It's like the summertime and the red snapper, they just bring it out in people. So I can't emphasize it enough. Whenever anybody's like, hey, I've never been fishing with you before, I'm going to come out June 6th. It's like, bro, why? Come out in October. Come out in November. There'll be 23 people on the boat instead of 50. And it will be 68 degrees in the morning and 75 degrees in the afternoon instead of 98 degrees with 130% humidity. But whatever. All right, what is good jigging rod for a first-time jigging angler? There's a ton of them. There's a ton of great jigging rods out there. I really, really recommend the Temple Reef is my favorite, but they're higher end and they're expensive. Johnny Jigs has a bunch of like entry-level rods. Jig Pro has some entry-level rods. There's a lot of, like, even some of the high-end companies, like I believe Temple Reef even has more entry-level setups now. I would check out Fisherman's Hut. Our buddy Tim Duncan down there at Fisherman's Hut, their shop is all slow pitch jig stuff. So I know for a fact that they have at their shop their own line of entry-level slow pitch jigging stuff. So check it out. But remember, on that note, that whenever you're investing in fishing tackle, your rod should be your biggest investment. Because your rod is what connects you to that fish. It's what gives you that sensitivity to feel the bite. It's what fights the fish. The reel is simply a tool that retrieves line, and you need a nice reel if you want a really smooth drag. But the rod is what fights the fish. The rod is what gives the action to the jig. So the rod is definitely more important. So if you're coming into slow pitch jig fishing and you're balling on a budget, as we say during our show, let's say your budget's $500, you want to spend $300 or $350 on the rod, and then spend $200 or $150 on the reel. So if you're going to skimp a little bit on something, skimp more on the reel and get a nicer rod. Just want to throw that out there. All right, Josh is saying it's time for another giveaway. We did our 5-hour half day. Let's do our 10-hour all day. See who won a 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Dan the Fishman. Congrats, my brother. Good dude right there, Dan the Fishman, with a 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. That's awesome. No better winner in the books right there. Good dude. All right, so let's see what our next question is. Any tips for land-based fishing? Tides, and tides, and tides again. Land-based fishing, the one thing you have to your advantage is they have this thing called tides. So Josh, can you pull up smart fishing tides? If you just type in smart, it'll start coming up. Yeah. All right, so this is potentially your biggest, easiest weapon as an inshore angler. Once you go offshore, you don't have tidal apps and tidal locations and Google Maps to show you fishing spots. So if you're a land-based fisherman, using your tides is going to be your biggest advantage. And Smart Fishing Tides by our buddies over at Salt Strong is definitely the coolest, latest and greatest. Why isn't it working? I'm messing something up. Can you just type in John's Pass for me? It's probably because I use this all the time. So that was a bad example, but the website never has any issues. It's probably just because we're streaming to so many different platforms right now. I'm not logged in. Normally, if you're logged in, you can see like 10 days in advance. They give you these scores. It's really, really cool, but I'm not logged in. So this is what you would see if you're not a Salt Strong member. If you are a Salt Strong member, you get even more tools. But even if you're not a Salt Strong member, you can still visit this website. It's still free. It still gives you 3 days in advance. So if I was a shore-based fisherman and I was going fishing tomorrow, Monday, in Johns Pass, I visit this website. I find John's Pass on my tide station. I click Monday, and look what this does. It literally tells you when the best bite is going to be based on the weather, the tides, and the salooner, major and minor. So it'll show you when sunrise is. It'll show you when those sun or moon rise and moon set is. So at the beginning of this high tide, you have a salooner, you have sunrise, and you have the moon coming up and cresting at its apex. So you have a few different variables here making 5 a.m. to about 9 a.m. a really good fishing time tomorrow, Monday morning, inside Johns Pass. Then you have moon set around mid incoming tide. So right around noon, 1 o'clock is going to be some good fishing. And then you have the major salooner on the backside of that high tide as that outgoing tide starts going out. You also have sunset in there as well. So 6, 7, 8 o'clock, going to be really good fishing again. So this website tells you based on the exact area you're fishing when to fish and why you're going to be catching more fish. It is super cool and super fun to play around with. And there's a lot of tools out there on the interwebs, but definitely the Salt Strong Smart Fishing Tides app is the greatest. Now, if you're a Salt Strong member, you can use the Smart Fishing Spots app. There's an app for that, and it's like, you know how we talk about how nowadays that they sell those little chips for the charts or the little chips for the boats, and you can buy a boat and you can get a GPS trolling motor. You can buy a little chip for your chart to show you all the fishing spots, and now you can go offshore and really, really do well. The Smart Fishing Spots app is like that times 10 because you download this app and it's like Google Maps, but then it shows you where the grass flats are, where the oyster bars are, where any reefs are, where the fish are going to be biting best, and then it uses the weather and tells you what area to fish. So you can literally go to a new area you've never fished before and use that app, and literally it will show you where you need to cast to catch these fish. It's ridiculous. It's honestly a little bit scary. I've used it a lot. And it's really, 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 really interesting. So Smart Fishing Spots is if you're a Salt Strong member. Smart Fishing Tides is if you're not a Salt Strong member. But either way, if you're a shore-based angler, you need to get in with Salt Strong and start using some of their free stuff. Or even better, if you go to saltstrong.com/Hubbard, you can get a special discount on a membership. And then it's really going to change the game. And they're just really, really good people over there, too. Do Regulars Club members see crew members' daily trip schedules? No. Regulars Club members get discounts on our trips, and it makes fishing more affordable, but we don't have a really good way to communicate with our Regulars Club members every day. Our Supporters Club on Facebook, that gives you access to our private after show. We post the daily schedules on that Facebook group every week. So in the Supporters Club, they get the weekly schedule every week. Our Regulars Club, there's no real good way to communicate to them since there's more of them and we don't have a Facebook group for the Regulars Club. But we have a Supporters Club. So if you want more connectivity, more behind-the-scenes information, the Supporters Club is a great option. If you want discounts on the trips, and if you go fishing 10, 15, 20 times a year or more, the Regulars Club is a great way to get discounts on the trip. And both of those are outlined on our website as well. Someone's sending some photos. We can't show your photos on the show live, but what we can do is if you want your photos on our show, if you want your photos on Fox 13, you can always text them to us at the phone number on the screen. Text us your photos to the phone number on the screen. If they're locally recently caught, we will put them on the news, and then we'll use them on the Sunday night show. Basically, every week on Thursday night, we get together all the photos that we've had sent to us in the past few days, and then we get them ready for our Friday news segment, and we use those same photos for our Sunday night show. So if you send them to us on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you're not going to see them until the next weekend. How many red snapper can a person bag in an extreme trip? So on a 12-hour extreme trip, it's a day, so you're allowed 2 red snapper per person per day. So on a day trip, like a 12-hour extreme, you'd be allowed 2. On a 39-hour trip, you could catch and keep 4, because it's a trip greater than 30 hours. Someone asked what color rail noodle works best. We're going to have to skip over that question. Don't use rail noodles. You don't need them. So many people, I've seen this so many times. We start loading a 39-hour trip, and one person brings out a rail noodle and starts taping it up, and then everybody's like, do I need one of those? Where do you sell those? Oh, surf style? Should I go buy one of those? Why don't you sell those in our shop? Because they're stupid, and you don't need them. You really don't. The only reason you would need a noodle is people are, I think they want to be able to set their rod on the rail, I guess, if you got a big fish, but you have foam. Your rod has a foregrip. That's what the foregrip is to do, is to hold it and fight the fish with your body. And if you get a really big fish, cool. All right, you might have to put the foregrip on the rail. You don't need a noodle for that. I don't know. Some people claim, oh, it's because I like to stick my hooks in it. Well, you can hang your hooks on the wall behind you, folks. You don't need the noodle. But some people like them, so you can bring a noodle if you want. We're not going to make fun of you too much. Promise.
Orange works best.
Orange works great. Personally, I like pewter or fuchsia or periwinkle. There's no certain color to answer your questions. All right, what other questions do we have? No, we're not out of questions. That's impossible. Oh, that's a good question. What's your recommendation? If you see mahi-mahi come by, what are you throwing out? So, I personally like keeping a pitch rod with a simply bare hook. The reason why is we might not just see a mahi-mahi swim by. A lot of times in the summer you might see a billfish, a sailfish if you're offshore fishing in deep water. You might see a tuna. So I like keeping a spinning rod with maybe a 4-foot piece of 40 or 50 pound fluorocarbon and like a 2 or 3/0 circle hook. And that way, if a school of mahi-mahi comes up, you can take a little chunk of thread fin, cast it out there real far, and kind of retrieve it on the top of the water and use it as a lure. Then, if you see a sailfish come by, you can hook a thread fin, cast it out there to it, or tail hook a pinfish if you see a tuna. If you see a wahoo or a kingfish, you really need a wire leader. But then if you have a wire leader tied on, you can't really cast it to a sailfish or a mahi. So you kind of have to pick and choose, or just have the wire leader hanging by. But also, a little gotcha plug works really well for mahi-mahi. So if you're just specifically focused on mahi-mahi, a gotcha plug is best. The soft plastics don't work as well in my opinion, because mahi-mahi likes something really fast. So a gotcha plug is nice because you can cast it really far, it sinks really fast, and then you can stick your rod tip underneath the surface of the water and retrieve it really, really quickly. Because a mahi-mahi is not going to move or hit a slow-moving jig generally. They want something cranking fast. Remember, you catch mahi trolling 7, 8, 9 knots. You don't catch mahi moving a little soft plastic through the water. So something you can cast far and retrieve quickly, like a casting spoon, a little spro jig, little bucktail. But generally, like a yellow bucktail, a gotcha plug, a casting spoon, or just a bare hook that you're able to put a little piece of thread fin on. Squid will sometimes work too, but you want the squid to be a little stripped so it gets some little flap to it. You want some motion there. But something silvery is better than squid, I think. What's that first one? What gram slow pitch jig do you recommend? So you generally, rule of thumb off our coast is a gram per foot. So on a 39-hour trip, I'm going to be bringing about 80 to 100 gram jig up to about maybe 300, 320. Because if the current's running, you need a little heavier jig, or if the current's really weak, you could use a lighter jig. We generally fish about 120 to about 200 foot. So 120 to 200 grams would cover you, but if the current's running a little bit, you might want a little heavier jig. Or like I said, if the current's a little weaker, you might want a little lighter jig. Uh-oh, got another one. It's David saying, what is the best way to rig a live bait for gag grouper? It depends on the current. If it's really, really heavy current, you got to hook it up underneath the jaw and out the top of the face. If you're fishing deep water, up underneath the jaw, out the top of the face. If you're drifting, up underneath the jaw, out the top of the face. If it's a slow bite, if you're not swinging around much, the things are a little bit slow, tail hooking it right above the anal fin is a really, really good way of doing it. I think we actually have a video for this. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, go to the fishing video links, and then hit fishing tips and tricks page. We just filmed a how to catch monster mangrove snapper video somewhere in here. Did I pass it, Josh?
When was that filmed?
Oh, maybe we don't have it on this page yet. It was one of the ones Philip did a little while ago.
No, I wasn't made aware of it.
We'll add it to this page. But we just filmed a how to catch monster mangrove snapper with live bait. It's on our it's on our YouTube channel for sure, and we'll add it to this website page tomorrow. But in that video, we actually showed you what I mean by hooking it above the anal fin. So definitely a good one to watch to catch up to the best ways to rig for a gag grouper. It's the same as mangrove snapper, basically. Same rule of thumb. Does a vermilion snapper have to be legal size to butterfly for bait? You cannot use a vermilion snapper for bait. Anything that has a size limit or a bag limit cannot legally be allowed to use for bait. However, some people do it, but we have to tell you it is illegal. You can't use vermilion snapper for bait. Unpermittable. Also yellowtail snapper. Anything with a size limit or bag limit. Both are really good baits though, I heard. I need to watch that. Yeah, it's a really good video. How to catch mangrove snapper with live bait. We talked about this. How to catch monster mangroves, I think it was called. It's on our YouTube channel. Released it probably back in like November, December. What else we got? Anything else? What do you think? Oh, I covered that one, didn't I? Yeah. If you book a 12-hour extreme and rent a rod, what setup will I be using? Yeah, so if you rent a rod and reel, we're going to provide you with a rod and reel that does the job. But if you bring out some specialty tackle, there are specialty tackles that can do the job a little bit better, but our rod rentals are going to get the job done. And they're going to be outfitted. You're going to have some tackle on the boat. But yeah, a rod rental is a rod rental, right? It's not super high-end gear, but it's going to get the job done for sure. Will the grocery store squid cut into strips work better than squid wing pieces? No. Squid wing pieces are the bomb. That's why we spend the extra money to get them. If you get the whole squid, you can use a whole squid, which sometimes can get a little bit better of a bite. But it comes off the hook a lot easier. It doesn't stay on the hook as well. Squid strips, those squid wing strips, are going to stay on the hook a lot better, be a lot more forgiving. Definitely works really, really, really well. That's why we provide them. And that's why we seek them out for sure. All right. So we've covered a lot. We're running out of time here. I think I've covered everything I needed to cover. Don't forget, OCC Roadhouse, May 27th, 7 to 9 p.m. Hopefully we're going to see you out there. Again, Tuesday night, May 27th at OCC Roadhouse. Hopefully we'll see you next week for another episode of our live stream show. Remember, it's every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. If you're in our supporters group, definitely look forward to seeing you for our supporters after show, which starts at what time, Josh? 8:50?
Sure.
8:50. All right, supporters after show starts at 8:50. Hopefully we'll see everybody there. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Innovative Pools and Spa. Remember, Innovative Pools and Spa brings you 35 years of experience building pools in the Tampa Bay area, and they're continuing the legacy of their father's company, and they're continued to be recognized as a top pool builder in the area for the last 3 decades. They continue to raise the bar in pool construction, design, and features, and they have an unparalleled passion for the industry. Check them out today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week for another episode. This 39-hour giveaway was brought to you by our friends over at Innovative Pools and Spa. So let's see who won the 39-hour fishing trip. For one lucky winner goes to... Beverly Pat Connell from Lakeland. Congratulations, Beverly. Hopefully we'll see you guys this week before the Red Snapper Chaos. Don't forget to vote every day for the best charter boat in the country. And hopefully you guys remember to check out the brand new online store that Josh rolled out today. It's really cool. A lot of people have been putting a lot of hard work into it. Our office staff, Lori and Melissa, and all the great ladies in the shop, and then Josh putting together all the artistry online. So check it out, browse through it, and let us know if you find anything that we could fix up or edit or change or make better for you. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the show tonight. We'll see you again next week. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy.